Okay, so today we have Terrence here, and he was able to receive an offer letter for $120,000 a year as a, was it cloud engineer, DevOps engineer?
DevOps engineer.
DevOps engineer. And so in this video, we're going to be talking about just his experience, some of the challenges he faced, and just his overall, journey. And so, Terrence, want to go ahead and want you to introduce yourself, kind of give it like 2 minutes about who you are, just your whole background, and we can start from there.
I'm Terrence. It's a little bit about my background. I don't, a couple years back, I would say around COVID was when I, you know, decided on wanting to get into tech, just didn't know how. Originally, tried getting in as a database administrator. And I had gotten a contract role, my first contract role, as a DBA, but I didn't really like what I was doing. And it was a year contract and it ended. And at that time, knowing what I know now, there was just a lot of mistakes that I made back then, that uh, caused a lot of problems, like getting another role as a DBA. And then on top of that, I didn't really enjoy it. So I had some difficulties with that and just never really like got another role and just kind of put that on the back burner. And then just fast forwarding to now in between, I was just kind of doing odd jobs here and there, just kind of surviving. And then fast forward, found Tile, about 5 months ago, joined the program. And yeah, here we are.
Okay. And so one of the things I want to ask you is, what would you say that was wrong with your life before you joined the program? Like, what did you want to change?
Yeah, I think mostly I would say there was a lot of things like mindset wise that I needed to like address. One essentially again like I needed to get right with God.
Hmm.
That was like the biggest thing because for a long time I was trying to do things on my own and relying on my own strength, but I had to give my life to Christ. So that was the biggest thing. Another thing was joining the program and just listening to you talk, a lot of things that I didn't realize were really crucial. Biggest thing was having a skill, a high income skill that's in demand. Like I was always, trying to chase like the role, the title, and like the pay associated with that title rather than, nurturing skills that's in demand and that pays really well. So that was like the biggest takeaway and that the biggest like well, those were the biggest mindset change that I made that I didn't have years back and I struggled because
Okay.
of it.
And what were you afraid would happen if nothing changed in that situation back then?
Yeah, so, I have a lot of plans, with like earlier I was just talking to you about my girlfriend. She's also in tech. She's a project manager, works for a pretty good company. And I have a lot of plans with her in terms of like building a life.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like, if I hadn't taken that step, that leap, and just wanting to kind of change my situation, I wouldn't be going anywhere or I wouldn't be moving forward with what I had intended with my girlfriend and also like with my life as well, my career. So, yeah.
Okay. And then, you know, why did you almost not join, and what made you say yes anyway? So I remember we were talking on the phone before you actually joined. I think there was a little bit
Yeah.
of hesitation. So,
Yeah, I actually reached out to you. I came across your social, your Instagram, and I was like, bro, I gotta get in touch with this guy. He's Nigerian. Like I know a bunch of people, a bunch of Nigerians in the tech industry. Most of them, again, like I mentioned, are DBAs. And I have friends that were really willing to retrain me, in that skill, but it's just something that I didn't really like take interest in anymore. So saw you, and I was like, yeah, I gotta reach out. I found your number somewhere, somehow, I don't know where. And then I was able to get in contact with you. I thought it was like, at first I thought it was like an AI, like assistant or something like that. But then I
Hmm.
was like, oh, like this is actually him.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I got in touch with you. Initially, like my hesitation, really was just like the financing, the tuition part. But,
Hmm.
you know, one thing I really respect about you is that you're genuine about helping people and you're willing to work with someone if they're willing to put in the effort. So I definitely respect that. And that was like the biggest hurdle essentially when we got to when we took care of that. You know, it was really a no-brainer for me to take the leap because I'm just like, man, I gotta change. Like I gotta do something. So
And like I'm glad you because like I said, for somebody who's serious and willing to commit, and it seemed like you were just like hesitant on like the financing. And I told you like we're gonna make sure that it can work for you. And it did. And so, you know, I'm glad that you did commit and take the jump because if you didn't, yes, you have this amazing six-figure position. You're making $120,000 a year. And so I think you were a DBA. Have you made that much? Were you making that as a DBA?
oh, that like this is probably gonna be my biggest pay to date, honestly. So, it's not that much of a difference. It's uh like a 15K bump.
Hmm.
So it's still a decent amount for sure. And honestly, like I probably should have negotiated. I feel like I was lowballed, but it is what it is. Hindsight 2020. But yeah, I'm just like again, I'm really just like I really enjoy doing this thing. It makes sense to me.
Hmm.
And it's one of those things where it's like I'm not so much focused on the money. I'm more so focused on the skill because I know it'll yield me what I want.
And
Um,
and
uh,
I was going to touch on that because you're making really decent money, but the most important part, if you said so, there, and I always talk about this, and I want anybody listening to this to really truly understand what I'm saying. There's always going to be two different types of people. There is the first person that lets obstacles overcome them, challenges that overcome them. And so for you, it was like about the money, which is, most people. But then I said, Robert Kiyosaki, he talks about not saying I don't have the money, right? But what does he say? Like, how can I find the money or something like that?
how can I afford it?
how,
Yeah,
how can I afford it? Right? Because now that opens up your brain and world for different possibilities. And so if you had the first mindset, which is like, hey, I can't afford it, or like this is an obstacle, I'm gonna let it overcome me, you would have still you would have been where you were. And even though, yes, you have this amazing transformation. What were you making before you joined before this?
yeah. So like I said, like I haven't touched tech in like 3 years,
So
right? So like I was just kind of doing in between
okay.
jobs in between. So um, keep it a buck, man. I was making 20 an hour, man.
And
So
so
it's like,
$20
yeah.
an hour all the way to
Now, 60, yeah,
$120,000
60
a
an
year.
hour. Yeah.
And
Mm,
so if you would have said no, or not even no, if you would have let the obstacle overcome you, you would have still been there. And I'm talking about the money, but I want to talk about the skill. Do you honestly feel like you have this skill set for the rest of your life to be able to
100%.
like get recruiters to reach out to you, to be able to know what to say on the interviews, to position yourself as one of the top candidates on any job interview? Do you feel like you have that skill?
100%. And it's only gonna get better like once I am in the field and I actually have production experience. It's only gonna get better.
And the crazy part is the projects, the tech challenges that you've done in the program literally is the same thing I've done at my jobs when I was working my 9 to 5. For those who don't know, I retired my 9 to 5 last year, August 8th, 2025. So just giving you some context. But those are real experience that I've done in my jobs, and they're still relevant in today's market. Now, what I want to say is, if you let the obstacle overcome you, you would have been stuck. And I see a lot of people, when there's an obstacle, and a lot of them think it's like money, right? Because they're like, oh, I don't have the money. Well, that's true. Even for you, you didn't have the money, and I showed you how you can afford it, right? But the main thing I want to say is it's not even about the money, because if you had let the money overcome you when you did join the program, there were still obstacles, right? Right?
Yeah, so
The first mock interview.
yeah, like you know, it's not even just the money, right? I think I've come across a few folks in the group that have some sort of like a limiting belief on their capabilities and what they're able to accomplish. And, that in itself, like, is even worse than not being able to, or thinking that you can't afford like the program, because it's just like, if you really put your mind to it, if you really put in the reps, if you really like digest and dissect everything that's being presented to you in this program, like it's not possible for you to fail. Like, um, I think a lot of like, there's a lot of like tidbits that you drop, you and Felipe. Shout out to Felipe, as well. He also the MVP. And like you know, the mindset the mindset that you tell us to have, like, we don't have to know everything, but we have to believe in ourselves to know that we'd be able to figure it out. And you guys teach us how to figure it out, so it's just like there's just no way for you to fail. Like, the only way that you fail is if you don't remain consistent in putting in the effort. That's it. That's
Mhm.
really it.
And so, speak to someone listening to this video. Do you feel like if they were the type of person like, hey, I am ready to commit, I know I'm going to put in the work, do you think that they would fail? And just be completely honest, like the way that this program is set up, do you think that they would fail?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
And why is that?
But because like you have like the mock interviews, that that in itself is gold, because interviewing is a skill on its own, right?
Mhm,
And like in these mock interviews, like you have Felipe conducting them, and he's literally like in a productive manner, positive manner, like he's constructively criticizing you on what you need to improve on and what your knowledge gaps are.
mhm,
You have that, and then you have the labs.
mhm,
Like, you have the live labs, creating like real life scenarios, and you being able to like watch like what's going on or what you would be doing potentially with other folks in like the whatever role that you in the future do obtain. So, and then you just have a lot of support in the chat as well. Like, there's a bunch of people that have gotten job offers or in the field that I've reached out to that have been willing to give me game on a lot of things. Like, you just have like support, so yeah, there's just, if you tap into all the resources available in the program, there's just absolutely no way you'd fail, honestly.
wow. Okay. And I want to go back to this
And I'm
because
not gassing. I'm really like keeping it a buck. I'm not gassing this. Like, this is legit. Like, if you take it serious, you believe in yourself and you're competent, you believe you're competent, not even that you're competent, you believe that you're competent, there's absolutely no way you would fail.
wow, wow. Honestly, number one, thank you. And I want to emphasize this point because anybody watching, it's like I tell them you don't have to join this program. There's YouTube University. There's other programs. For me, I want to show the world what this is, what it's done for me, how it's changed my life. I was able to take care of my family. I retired myself, and it changed my life and those who I loved around me, love around me. And I'm doing the same thing for other people. And so, anybody listening to this, if you are interested to see if you do qualify for the program. We don't just select everybody. We have to make sure that, you're the right person. Pretty much like you're willing to commit and you're ready to take action. There's going to be a link in the description below. Just click the link, and go through your application process, and me and my team will reach out to you. Now, going back to the main point is if you had let the obstacle overcome you, and I remember talking to you on the phone, but if you had said, "Hey, no," means that's fine. You don't have to join it. You would not be here. And it's not just about your life dramatically change forever, right, for the job, but even if the job, you know, even if something happened, right, next week, next month, you could you can still get another job. As opposed to the DBA job, you didn't have that skill set, right? But now you have the skill set. Jalen, right? His contract ended in January, and he reached out to me, okay, because he stole any of my students. You can always reach out, you know. And he had said like, "Hey, this is what happened." I said, "You know what to do." Literally, I said, "You know what to do." And a month later, he got two offer letters. And that's not just Jalen, Darnell, right? He was let go due to, government funding because of Trump. A week, he got another offer letter. And a month after that, he got another offer letter because he has the skill. And this is a skill set that allows you to make more money and work less. You don't have to kill yourself working 8 hours a day at one job, right? Cloud engineering with the right environment is a space where you can make more money and work less with job stacking ethically and legally. You have to know how to do that.
I wanted to touch on that too, because I 100% agree with you, like on like being able to work, make more and work less.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes there are situations where like, you might be able to, you might have to work a little bit more. And I
Hmm.
don't, I don't when people like come to me for advice like in the DMs and stuff like that, I try to tell them like, like don't make that your main focus to like just like, work less and make more because at the end of the day, it's still a skill that you're still new at. So
Hmm.
you want to like st put yourself in a position where you're actually learning a decent amount. And even if you are working less, right? Like outside of like work,
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
still working on
Definitely.
things
Hmm.
in alignment to what you're doing in your current job so that you're always staying job ready, like you said, So
And,
that's why I always try, don't run away from the work, man. The work
mhm.
gotta work, man. You gotta build up that skill. So
I like that you said that Jalen, his first job, uh, he was working like a lot. And then I told him this is a blessing because now, like for example, when I got my first job, there was no work. And so I asked him for work. It was still barely any work. Outside of the work I was doing, I did more work. Like I researched, I built projects, I did so much things because you want to get to the point. Like I'm touching cloud stuff now because I'm doing it within my own business. But
yeah,
you want to
sure.
get to the point where it's like, it's just like everybody will have their own realization and moment, but you'll get to the moment where it's like, this is a part of me. So when I can go back and work in a real environment and there's barely any learning curve, right? Because it's like you get to the point where your skill level, like a video game, is at the max. I won't say max because there isn't a max level, but the level to the point where you know it like the back of your hand. It's like working a job. When you work the job for let's say a year or 6 months, like a server, I was a server, I knew it like it was just a part of me. Boom, 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 boom. And so everybody is going to get to the point where it's like that with, cloud engineering. And that's the point that you need to get to. So with Jalen, I said, hey, this is a blessing because you don't need to go look for the work. It's right there. But you want to get to the point where you have the skill set so that way you can leverage that skill, that experience to get another job. And that's what he did. A month later, he got two offer letters back to back.
Yeah,
And
he
that
going
was,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm telling you. And then but it gives you that ability to make more and work less. And so, you know,
100%.
so that is the Anybody that's watching this, yes, that is the reality. You can make more and work less, but you need to put in the work to get there to actually acquire the skill set. The
100%.
program will get you to the point where you can get jobs, have jobs come to you, and you know do your thing, apply the skill set to acquire these offer letters like Terrence. But there is always a continuing, like I'm still learning. Like there's technologies, things coming out every day. And so I want to emphasize that point. But I want to go back. You were so the first type of person, they let obstacles overcome them, and you stay stuck, stress, you're not having that much money. But the second type of person, which is you overcame the obstacle, right? And why was that? Like, why did you choose like, hey, like I'm ready to pull the trigger. I don't know if this is going to work out for me. This might not work out. What made you kind of be the second person, the person to overcome the obstacle? Like, why did you want to actually do that?
Yeah, so yeah, like earlier, like I mentioned, like biggest part is just like my faith in Jesus Christ, right? And then also, but that's like the biggest thing, honestly. If anybody asks me, I just say that honestly. But for the purpose of this interview, more context, I just didn't want to stay where I was at,
Mm,
like at all. Like
mm,
I hated my job.
mhm,
Like I wasn't getting anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like I knew that I'm capable of, like I know I'm capable, but it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like I have not found, or up until now, like found something that I genuinely can see myself doing in like the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? Like while, building wealth, actual wealth,
mm,
in the future.
mm,
So it's like, yeah, it's just when I thought about it at the time when I was contemplating, quote
mm,
unquote, jumping into the program. I tried to picture my life like 5 years from now, from that time that I was like still contemplating. And I was just like, man, like if I really put in the work, I'm gonna make this shit work. Excuse my French,
Nah, do
but
you
yeah,
think?
that was
And,
it.
and do you regret joining the program? Like,
Heck no. Heck no. What? But I learned so many valuable lessons, like okay, resume building. Like I didn't know that was a big factor, like that was a one thing that I struggle with the most, how to build a resume that actually paints a picture for recruiters when they're looking at it. That
Mm,
makes sense. It makes them want to reach out to you, you
mm,
know. Um, staying consistent with like applications.
mm,
Like I would say 100% if you are wanting to stay consistent with applications, it's hard to do that if you're doing the applications yourself. I'll
mhm,
just leave it at that.
mhm,
Um, there's just a lot of like game like that you provided in the program that is just like, man, like I'm gonna make sure that I execute and I don't skip steps.
mhm,
A lot of people try to skip the people that are in the program that still are looking to get their first role, or maybe haven't like taken that process of or gone through the mock interviews. They're trying to bypass the mock interview and like go straight into the market. And it's just like, why would you shoot yourself in the foot? Like the market is already hard in itself. So why would you want to waste time and effort knowing how unprepared you are, and just, prepare yourself, get live feedback,
mhm, mhm,
work on those knowledge gaps, and then go into the market prepared. Like it
mhm,
doesn't make any sense. So I made sure I didn't skip any steps, like the projects, the tech challenges. I made sure that I was doing the reps.
mhm.
Man, like tech challenge 2, I did that. I ran that like about 10 times. I know it's like a back of my head. Like I don't even need my documentation. I've already conducted like labs with Felipe in the final project, and literally just did it off the dome. So it's
Wow,
just like you just got to put in the reps. No
wow.
excuses. I
And
have no excuses.
what specifically did this program give you that you could not get on your own?
Self-sufficiency. Um, being able to research and do research on your own. Like they don't hold you guys don't hold our hand. You tell us to go figure it out because at the end of the day, like we're getting paid six figures. We're not getting paid six figures just to be babysat. Like we're not that's just not happening. Like nobody's gonna hold your hand and like tell you, oh, this is what you have to do. No, you have to figure it out. You're getting paid six figures because of that. So
And
like you literally set
ju-
the
ju-
foundation.
just, yeah, I was gonna say just to get go ahead, continue.
Yeah, you set the foundation to allow us to be mentally prepared that, okay, like, yes, we'll give you the resource, but there's going to be things that you'll stumble across, or stumble.
Hmm.
Um, and that's left for you to go figure it out. But
Hmm.
like, you have to believe in yourself that you will figure it out. That's the
And,
thing.
and then talk about like in the program, do you feel like we kind of gave you the tools, the methodology to know how to figure it out?
Yes, yes, 100%. Like, first you got to understand what the problem is.
Hmm.
You know, how can you attack the problem when you don't even know what it is, you
Hmm.
know? And then like you tell us like how to begin attacking that problem once you understand what it is. So yeah, like you show us how we become like world star troubleshooters because that's what we are. So
And when you get on the job, same thing. And so,
same thing, really.
I want to say
I can't
that
wait.
I want to give some more context. You know, we definitely give you the step. How do you feel like we kind of gave you a step-by-step blueprint, like step one, step two, step three to get the results?
100%. Like I think this program is very structured. Like it's not everything all at once, it's organized, so it teaches you like the fundamentals, the basics, right? And then like it gets more complex as you go, so yeah.
Do you feel like you know, YouTube University has this structured like way of go from A to Z? Like, do you feel like YouTube has that? And then yeah, I'll do one question at a time.
D no, because I feel like when it comes to if you were wanting to like again, there's other programs and stuff like that, right? Or there's free resources as well. But in terms of like shortening that learning curve, like you want to go to a trusted individual, and go that route, like the boot camp route, because it'll literally like um compact the most important materials that you need to know in order to get your first role.
Yep.
So
Yep. And um I want to just say, I specifically chose information that is relevant to what you'll be doing on the job and to make you a well-rounded IT professional and cloud engineer. And so, like some other programs, they do like 7, 8 months. I did an 8-week program because a lot of people give you information that you'll never use on the job. Right. And so I take out the fluff, I'll give you what you need to shorten that learning curve. And now you're ready to go out there and actually try to acquire a job. And so we're almost done. I want to just ask a couple more questions, but what is different about your life now? And you can be specific in terms of the money you're about to make, the job, the confidence, the time, the stress, the freedom. Like, what would you say is different?
and I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm over here thinking I ain't gonna live paycheck to paycheck no more, man. So that's a great feeling. And then also just like I mentioned earlier, just trying to move things forward with my girls. So that's a blessing as well. And honestly, like, it's really like I gave my life to Christ, and this kind of just like is a testimony for me and what I've been looking for and asking God to like just come through for me.
Hmm.
So that's, just continuing to, shed light and just like glorify his name any way I can, man, for real. Cause I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
And I want
I,
to touch on that too as well. For anybody who knows my story, literally, this program would not exist if it wasn't for God. Like back in college, I dropped out of nursing school, got to the point where, I didn't want to be here on this earth, and God literally saved my life. And, fast forward, I was able to build myself to the point where, where I am now, and crafted this step-by-step blueprint, but that source came from God, right? And so, you know, the results that you have right now, Terrence, is all by the glory of God, right? It's by His grace, His mercy. And, even hearing your testimony in terms of you giving your life to Christ and Him looking out, it's like, honestly, I want to just take some time to recognize that and acknowledge that. And it is very powerful because, you know, life is just a lot easier when you have God on your side.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I just want to emphasize that. And then in terms of like, how do you feel about your future now compared to before?
It's secure, I would say. Like I have a faith that no matter what happens, with what I no matter what happens, they can't take what's in here.
Mm,
You know?
mm,
So I'll walk with that, man. Like they can't take what's up here, man. Like they can't take the scriptures that I know here. They
mm.
can't take the knowledge from the course that I have up here. Like they can't, no matter what happens. Yeah, I'm going crazy. So
Okay, okay. And if someone's watching this and they're where you were, right? They're where you were before, what would you tell them, right? What would you tell them right now?
I would say, honestly, have faith. And if you don't believe in yourself, who will?
Mm, mm,
Like if you don't believe in yourself, who will? You know? So it really like the conversations that you have, the most important conversations that you have are with yourself. What do
mm,
you tell yourself? Like up here, and like honestly, me personally, your faith in Jesus Christ, like,
mm,
you gotta believe. You gotta believe. That's just you gotta believe.
mm.
So
Okay. The last question is, and you probably already said this already, but I'll, re-ask it. But, what is a 1% gem that you would give to anybody listening to this right now? And so a 1% gem is um it's something tangible that someone can use. It's like an advice that you would give to someone that's something that tangibly they can use that will get them closer to their financial goal.
in terms of like landing an offer, like let's say if they're already in the
It
program, we're still considering
it could be
joining.
anything. It can be any
Okay.
any advice, any gem, anything.
Yeah. I would say focus on the skill, not the income, you
Mm,
know. Um, Focus on the skill and not the income. Especially, and then also focus on a skill that is in demand and that pays. you know, uh, doesn't have to be cloud engineering, DevOps doesn't really just find something that you can see yourself doing, that pays well and focus on that skill and the rest will take care of itself.
mm, mm. Thank you. This has been So what I want to say is like anybody listening to these videos, like they're obviously going to be motivated, right? Somebody seeing themselves in your shoes and seeing where you are now gives hope and it's inspiring. And so you having this video, you agreeing to be on this video, you are impacting people, within the 1% University as well. So just want to just want to say thank you for coming on here. And then anybody else listening to this video, if you are interested in joining the program, just click the first link in the description below. Me and my team will reach out to you and make sure that we're both a good fit. That's pretty much it. Is there anything else you want to say? You don't have to, just asking if anything's on your mind.
No, just want to say, yeah, Tyler, thank you for the opportunity, and getting to learn a little bit more about me and allowing me to share, kind of just like my journey. So I appreciate it.
Gotcha. And then I forgot to ask, like talk about Felipe, like good, bad, like like talk
Yeah.
about Felipe. Felipe good?
Nah, bro. Felipe the GOAT, man. For real. Shout out to Felipe, man. Um, that's probably the biggest value add to the program. Because he's very patient,
Hmm.
um, and like really just simplifies some of the uh topics
Hmm.
in the program. So yeah, like shout out to him. And then also like he conducts the mock interviews as well. I typically it's like two mock interviews that depending on how good you do, there might be more, or maybe just one, honestly, if you nail the first one, but I didn't. I completely failed it. But even at that, like he was patient with me, like he gave me constructive feedback and that I took it and ran with it. So you also like provide a lot of interview hacks as well, like things because you have dissected one of my live actual interviews, and I
Hmm.
took like what you had to say to heart, like especially when it came to learning how to tell a story,
Hmm.
when you're talking about building out these systems, learning about how to tell it in such a way that it's engaging rather than boring, so there's a lot of value add in this program, a lot of things that you guys share that, it's just, yeah. But yeah, shout out to Felipe. He the GOAT for sure.
Cool, cool. Yeah, he's definitely worth it. I'm always looking for how can I make things smoother? How can I make things better for you guys to increase the likelihood of you? I mean, even if Felipe wasn't there, there's still a bunch of stuff that wasn't here before and that people were still getting offers. But I want to make it like, how can this be almost like impossible? Even if somebody was like very, very slow picking up information, how can I make it like almost anybody, right? And so, Felipe is a good addition, and he's amazing. That I don't mind paying him a premium. I definitely pay him a premium. But that premium provides premium results, and so
For sure.
you're
100%.
you're a testimony to that. And so I don't mind, whatever I have to like. The whole purpose of this program is for you guys, right? I don't have to work. Right? I retired last year, but I wish there was something like this for me when I was starting my journey because I went through a lot of BS. And so, thank you for joining once again. If you guys are interested, click the first link in the description below to get to start your journey today. Deuce.